Hello, my name is Alicia and I am here to move you. It is currently in this present moment, space and time, Saturday morning. And on Saturdays, on Daily Ritual, I always teach a class called Slow Meows. And I have just kind of created this class because it's sort of like slow and juicy and delicious, but sometimes it's a little meow, meow, meow. And maybe that's the same thing, but I just like to create a class that doesn't necessarily have too many rules. It's not going to be so fierce. It's just going to feel really good for Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time class. So I'm going to give a little taste of what that might feel like today. Of course, live is always where it's at. It's so much more intuitive, and I'm obviously teaching to my students versus teaching to myself, which is a very different story. Sometimes a very different story. So we're gonna move and it's gonna feel amazing. So just let yourself feel. That is kind of my intention, is to drop us deeper into our body, to really start to connect into breathing and moving and feeling. So today we will start, you can find a seat, and on your knees, we'll transition from here. So let's sit on the knees. And I like to have a block underneath of my bum. So if you have a block handy, take that block and maybe sit on it, because it's just nice to have that extra height. It also gives you a little ledge so that you can pull your bum out from underneath of you and sit a little higher on your sits bones, which helps to align the spine so that the lower lumbar has this beautiful natural opportunity to move into its natural curve. Fingertips can just land light, or the hands to the tops of the thighs. And instead of snugging the elbows in, just let the elbows press forward and wide a little bit, so that we create space underneath of the ribs to breathe in a deep way. Lift your chin and bring this lifted presence into the whole torso, so you can feel from the pelvic floor rooted down all the way through to the crown of the head, rising upward. Soften the shoulders and soften the face, and tap into just a few moments of breathing. Now let the breath flow like a wave. I like to feel how the breath so subtly moves me in this most delicate way. Each inhale rising, filling, expanding. And each exhale like letting go, softening and releasing. And connecting into a fluid loop so that the inhale and exhale are continuous, flowing one into the other. Beginning to eliminate the space between, so that you may move deeper into this moment of presence. And please bring your hands one on top of the other to your heart and connect in with your heartbeat. So maybe just like giving the heart a little snuggle. Like it's almost like you can imagine this hug with the hands to the heart. And staying here for 3 more breaths. And perhaps bringing in a gentle intention, a word, a thought, an idea. Lift the corners of your mouth and promise yourself a beautiful practice. Little heart squish. Reach your arms ahead of yourself. Lift your heart up towards the skies. Your arms press ahead of the shoulders, lift the chin, and feel your power, this expansive quality of widening, of rising, of opening. And then hug it in. Connect into a big hug. Wrap your arms around to catch your shoulders. And just begin to slide your ribs side to side. And can just begin to experience feeling into the back of the heart, into the belly, and into the side ribs. Allowing the hands to gently pull spaciousness so that the back shoulder blades are broad and expansive. And there's space for the thoracic spine to be full and open. You can shut your eyes here and just sort of begin to squirm around a little bit and notice how you feel. Connecting the breath with your movement and noticing if you meet any spaces where you begin to hold the breath. And perhaps taking your breath there even more intentionally. And then release your hug. We'll take the block from out from under our bum if you have one. And we'll stay on the knees for just a second here. So the top of the foot can press down and gently drag back to create a little bridge in the ankle. This connection of the top of the foot pulling down and back connects us into our posterior chain actually. Reach your arms forward and wide, that expansive quality one more time, and begin to glide your ribs side to side. So the hips slide back and wide, and then we slide, kind of working with this quality of buoyancy in the ribs, this floating and openness. And you can think about lifting into the ribs so we get that big beautiful expansion and the arms still pressing ahead of the shoulders. So it's almost like you could be driving a big bus or an airplane or any sort of thing that you could imagine, maybe a big tractor that has a big wheel. And you're just sort of holding the space and holding the fullness of the ribs as you glide and kind of shift side to side. Okay, come through center, press your arms forward. Sweep your hands to catch both sides of the skull. The elbows hug narrow. Press your head back into your hands and let your neck get long and open. Now sit your hips back towards your heels. Hold your roots down low. And then rise the heart up to the sky, lengthen the belly. The hips sit back. And the belly gets long as you lift the ribs up, stretch up. Hips back. Big rise up, find your pulse here. Opening. We'll do one more into our length, rise high. Sit back, curl the chin to the chest, rounding through the upper back. And feel that fullness in the back. Begin to glide your ribs side to side. Now experiencing the back of the heart broaden and expand. And feeling the fullness into the scruff of the neck and the shoulder blades expanding. Root back through center. Let your belly soften forward and rise your heart back all the way up to the sky. Stretch up. And take one more through the center line. Hips back, rise high. And then release your arms forward. Down to the mat. Walk the knees back a little bit so that we have space for the belly to be long. The hands land forward of the shoulders so that the wrists are ahead of the shoulders, and there's quite a slant in the arm. And we can work the top of the foot, press it down, continue to drag it back, and this can kind of like operate to pull the hips back so that as you make that action, that pressing down of the foot and dragging towards the knee, the hips slide back and wide. Yeah, and so that's just a nice kind of thing to know. And then we'll move into that, into the sides. So the hips slide back and wide, and we glide side to side. You want to keep pressing the mat away to hold the full inflation through the back of the rib cage. Let's add into this. So we glide wide to one side and then curl the chin to the chest, round through the back all the way to the other side, and the hips pull you back and wide, and rotate the other way. Slide your other ribs wide, curl chin to chest, rounding through the back. And just kind of like making these circles through the sides into the back of the heart, back of the ribs, all the way to the other side, and then like letting the bum almost like doo-doo-doo, and shift you to the other way. Okay, when that feels kind of even, we'll just find some stillness in the center. Take the right hand and pancake it on top of the left. You can interlace or you can just pancake hands. And you're just gonna press down the mat with both of your hands and begin to tease open the right side. So the hips pull back and wide, the belly is soft, and then we begin to pulse forward and long into the right side body, so that there's this opening that you can begin to feel. The right groin is rooting back as the right ribs push forward and widen. Keep pressing the mat away and hold a gentle bend in the elbows. Take one more. And then come back through center, hands and knees, undulate your spine, slide the hips back and wide into a curl forward. Hips slide back, curl it forward. One more. And find some stillness in the center. Left hand pancakes on top of the right. Root the hips back and wide, let the belly soften, and then begin to tease open the left side. The hips root back, and the belly is soft and long. And we're beginning to just pulse, widen, and press forward the left ribs. It's like this little creeping open into the side body. You should feel this beautiful stretch all along the ribs, all along the low belly. Take one more. And then come back through center. And take a couple of barrel rolls, big circular motions of your rib cage. You can allow your head to join the party so that all of the things are sort of moving in relationship to each other. This interconnected vessel that we are inhabiting. Switch your direction, go the opposite way. Find some stillness. Slide the hips back and wide. The wrists are still ahead of the shoulders, so we can keep the heaviness off of the wrist, whereas if we're stacked, it's quite heavy on the wrist and the palm. So we keep the shoulders back a little bit, press the mat away. We want to feel the shoulder blades broaden and expand, the back of the heart rise upward. Tuck the toes, lift your knees, and rise up into hands and feet. You can walk your feet as wide as your hips or as wide as the mat, whatever feels right. Take a nice deep bend into the knees, belly towards the thighs. Send your hips way up high. We want to feel this lengthening and toning in the back line of the leg. And give your toes a little gripping down. In particular, think about the big toe. Gentle button press down, drag back. And then the paws press down and out to the side. Now carry your heart forward just a little bit, so it's kind of like you're taking the gaze just ahead of your index finger. And press the mat away to really broaden into the back. You want to keep the hips rooting back high and wide, and almost feel like the ribs are trying to reach forward, but the hips are holding us back. Begin to pulse forward and back, hips root back wide and high, and then the heart reaches forward. Hips back. Resist your pause down and back as the heart pulls forward. Hips root back and wide. Reach your heart forward. Feel the length in the belly. Press down the mat. Hold the fullness in the back. Okay, bend your knees. Keep the hips high and wide. Externally rotate your right hand, twist toes and knees to the left side. Bend the knees, root the hips back, and rise into the left side. Couple pulses here. Hips pull back, let the belly soften. Rise into the left ribs. Pulsing here, feel the opening. Hips root wide, big stretch, rise. Take one more pulse here. And then bend your knees deeply to send your right hip down to the mat. Left hand connects to the right ribs like a little half hug. And we want to lift and gently twist. So there's this quality of rotating the ribs. Gently lift and twist. Almost like we're working to present the heart upwards. One more. Okay, use your left hand to support while you extend your right arm long to the top left corner of the mat. Bend your right elbow and give yourself a little landing for your head. We'll take you can lift up the hips actually and just let them shift back a little bit so that the belly can be long. And then let your head hang back into the hand so that the throat is open. Left hand connects to the top of your left thigh and the knee just hovers above the right. And press your knee forward into your hand and just feel how instantly the belly starts to tone and lengthen. The hips root back and the belly gets long. So this resisting of the knee forward into your hand. Hips root back and the belly gets long. Yeah, a couple of those guys, just pressuring the knee forward into your hand. The knee moves forward, the hips root back, and the belly feels toned. Now, hold that kind of engagement and take both hands behind your head. Resist your head back into your hand. Let your neck get long and open. And find a couple of petals here. Little sticky petals, so you can imagine like you're pulling through cold honey and trying to connect into this hamstring hug with the left heel pulling energetically towards the bum, so that it's like, can you feel the connection and engagement in your left bum? The head keeps resisting back into the hand. You can feel like the crown of the head is reaching upwards as the hips keep rooting back and wide, so that there's this sensation of getting longer in the belly. One more. Yeah. Now let's take this knee and just place it in front of the right knee and spiral your heart forward so that you can have two forearms forward. Little twisty thing here. So the elbows land just ahead of your shoulders. Press down the mat to hold the fullness in the back. And here you can tuck your chin to extra experience that fullness, and then lift the chin out of the throat and feel your elbows just gently and energetically drag back towards your hips to feel this sensation of lengthening into the belly. Hold the fullness of the heart by that gentle press of the mat down. Little kind of tug of war, like it's subtle tug of war back and forth. Okay. Connect your hands back to the mat. tuck your left toes to spin yourself all the way back up into hands and feet. Feet are as wide as the hips, hands are as wide as the mat or as wide as your shoulders, whatever makes sense. Nice deep bends into the knees, hips root high and wide, and stretch your heart forward. Couple through the center, hips high, heart pulls forward. Sit the hips back and then take a couple of shifts of your hips side to side. A little weaving and winding into the belly. Okay, find some stillness. A little bend into the knees, hips rooting high and wide. Externally rotate the left hand just a little bit. Toes and knees twist to the right. Bend your knees, root the hips back and wide, and then peel open, rise into the right side. You feel this like rainbow quality, the hips dragging back as the belly softens into this lift of the right ribs. A little pulsing with the legs, bend and extend. Lift the chin, open the throat, rise into the ribs. Take one more big stretch. And then deep bend into the knees to lower your left hip down to the mat. Right hand connects for a half hug, just catching underneath of the left ribs. And here we're kind of working into this gentle spiraling of the ribs. So it's kind of this little lift and twist. Lift and twist. And it's kind of romantical. You want to think about just like being gentle here and almost like bringing this presence and this lifted opening to the heart space. Okay, use your right hand to support as you extend the left arm long to the top right corner of the mat. And bend your left elbow so that you can give your head something to land in with your hand. You can sort of just like lift your hips up and shift them back a little bit so that the belly has optimal opportunity to be long. And then take your right hand and connect it, little horseshoe hold to the top of to the front of the right thigh. Press your knee forward into your hand and notice how the hips energetically feel like they're moved back and the belly gets long and toned. So you can play with that a couple of times, just pressing the knee up into the resistance of the hand and just experiencing what happens in the belly and energetically in the hips, maybe even in the bum. Okay. Hold that knee moving forward. Sweep your right hand back behind. The elbows hug narrow and you can press your head into your hand. So let the neck get long and open. And then begin to find some petals here. So these petals are like you can imagine there's a resisted quality to them so that they're like sticky, something sticky that they're pulling through so that we can try and connect into the right glute. Each petal you take, you can imagine your belly getting longer as well, so that the crown of the head has the experience of energetically moving up as the hips root further back and wide. And we can feel this lengthening and toning in the belly. Take one more. And then we will lower the right knee down in front of the left. And then spiral your heart forward to take your two forearms forward to the mat. Elbows land just ahead of the shoulders, and you can use your forearms to press down the ground to find that fullness in the back of the heart. Even a little chin tuck here to really find that full expression of expansion. And then lift your chin, open the throat, and you can find this like gentle, kind of like it's a gentle pulse back and forth so that you can experience this lengthening in the belly. So it's like the elbows drag just ever so subtly back towards the hips to feel the heart move forward and the hips root back. Keep pressing the mat down to hold the fullness in your back. Cool. Use your hands, plant them to the mat, and tuck your toes to spin yourself all the way up into hands and feet. Take a couple of pulses, hips root high and wide, and the heart reaches forward. Hips slide wide, heart pulls forward. Okay, keep pressing the mat away to hold that fullness through the back of your rib cage. Lower the knees down to the mat. Untuck the toes, press the top of the foot down into the mat, and begin to pulse forward and back. The hips root back and wide, and the heart reaches forward. Next time that you pull the hips back, keep the butt lifting wide and up. We'll peel the left knee open to the side and place the paw to the mat. Kickstand the right foot out just a little bit. Root the hips back and wide and begin to peel open into the left side. Hips slide back. Belly stays soft and open. Rise and lengthen into the left body, into the left ribs. Take a big stretch. Reach your left arm forward and long. The hips root back. The belly stays soft. Lift the chin as you stretch forward. And take one more pulse here. Connect your left hand to the front of your thigh. Pick up the foot, open leg to the side. So the knee presses forward and the hips root back and wide. This is kind of the same thing we did when we were just lying on the side, but it's going to be a little more challenging. You're going to think about lifting up underneath of the ribs. Press your knee forward into your hand. Let your belly get long, lift your chin. Little pulses here, slide the hips back and then pulse the heart forward. Keep resisting your knee forward into your hand so that the knee moves forward and the hips glide back. Take one more. And then take your heart forward. We'll place the left foot in front of the right thigh. The toes face towards the left side of the mat and the heel towards the right. Take your left fingertips towards the left side of the mat and just gently slide the hips back wide. Keep the belly long. Little pulses here. You can take your left hand, connect to the bum, and pull the flesh up as you sit back, sit deep, sit wide. Take one more. And then big, reach the left arm forward and long. Rise into the left ribs. Little rainbow, rise into those ribs. One more pulse. And then release your hand and unlink your ankle from in front of your thigh. Come back into all fours, hands and knees. Couple of undulations of your spine. Slide your hips back and wide, curl forward, chin to chest, rounding through the upper back. Hips slide back and wide, lengthen the belly, and then curl forward. Take one more. Hips root back and wide, lengthen, and curl it forward. And take your knees wide, sit back, child's pose. Let your heart melt, arms reach forward. If it doesn't feel okay for you to melt your heart, you can take your elbows wide and give yourself a little fist stack. Rest your forehead on your fists. And 3 breaths here. And if you're in a double fist stack, reach your arms forward to connect your hands to the mat and roll your spine forward. Moving back into all fours, take the knees back underneath of your hips. Top of the foot presses down, gently drags back, and begin to pulse forward and back. The hips root back and wide, and the heart reaches forward. Okay, next time your hips sit way back, we'll keep them back here. Peel the right knee open to the side. Place your paw to the mat. Kickstand the left foot out just a little bit. Hips slide back and wide. Big reach up and rise into the right side. So you think about this quality of peeling open, little bit by little bit, opening into that right side body. Rising into the right ribs creates this lightness in the right fingertips. You can think about your central channel from the pelvic floor through to the crown of the head. How long and expansive can you contain that openness? Take a big reach. Stretch your right arm forward and long. Arm reaching just ahead of the shoulder. Finding that full expansion into the side body. Take one more pulse here. Release your right hand to the front of your right thigh. Pick up the foot, open leg to the side. Resist your knee forward into your hand to allow the hips to move back and the belly to be long. Rise up underneath of the left ribs. Lift the chin and open the throat. Find a couple of little pulses forward and back. So the knee moves forward and the hips glide back. The whole torso stays long, expanding and open. Yeah, take one more. Okay, bring your heart forward to carry your right foot to place in front of the left thigh or the knee. The right toes face towards the right and the right heel towards the left. Right fingertips to the mat and just gently slide back into that stretch. Hips gently pull back, keep the butt wide and high, the belly long. Option to take your right hand to your right bum, and as you slide back, pull the flesh up. And just getting a little bit deeper into that stretch, also molding a widening of the pelvic floor. Lifting the butt up, that's the direction we want our bum to go. Lift it up. Hey. Take a big stretch, reach your right arm long, and a little bit of a rainbow rise into the right ribs. Arcing up and over, stretch long. One more pulse. And then release back down, unlink your ankle, come back into all fours. Okay, press the mat away, nice and strong. Tuck the toes, lift your knees, rise all the way back up into hands and feet. Couple of bends and extends, hips root high and wide, and the heart reaches forward. A little shift of your hips side to side, like you're weaving and winding into the belly. Hold the expansion through your rib cage. And let these movements be fluid, soft, and opening. Okay. Externally rotate your right hand, toes and knees twist to the left. A little bend, root back and rise. Take two more pulses here. Slide wide into your rise. Last one. Okay, and then we'll lower the hip down. And this time, you can take your left foot, place it forward of the right thigh, left fingertips to the left side of the mat, and push the right hand away as you drag your left fingertips back. So a little push-pull. Lift the chin, thinking about that central channel from the pelvic floor through to the crown of the head, remaining open and long wherever you go. Okay. Walk your hands back. little shin stack. So left shin on top of the right. You can stay up here. If it's too intense, you can just unwind a little bit. Otherwise, you can stay high. You can play into some twists, side to side. Or you can begin to tent your fingers forward and moving down to any degree that feels nourishing to you. And when you feel tension, if you feel tension, just breathe there. Taking your breath into more softness. Stay here for just 2 more breaths. Rising all the way back up. Take your left foot and just place it in front of your shin or ankle. Walk your hands back forward. Push the ground to spin yourself all the way back up, hands and feet. A couple little petals of the heels. Big deep bend into the knees, send the belly towards the thighs. Root your hips way up high and then ripple the spine forward, curl chin to chest, rounding through the upper back. Deep bend into the knees, belly to the thighs. Send your butt way up high and then ripple it forward. Take one more deep bend into the knees, belly to the thighs. Send the hips way up high and then rippling little bit by little bit, chin to chest, rounding through the upper back as you move forward. And then take that deep bend into the knees. Externally rotate the left hand, toes and knees twist to the right. Bend your knees, glide the hips back and rise into the right side. 2 more pulses here. Opening, breathing, hips root, soft belly, rise into the ribs. And then deep bend into the knees to lower the hip down to the mat. Connect your right ankle in front of the left thigh. Right fingertips connect to the right side of the mat. The left hand pushes away as the right fingertips drag back. And we sort of slide forward and back. Press the left hand away, right fingertips drag back into your drag back. And then little creep forward. Okay, walk your hands back. Little shin stack, right shin on top of the left. And again, making it feel good for you. And so the options here are just to stay up high, hands to the knees. You could twist side to side. You can play into twists, or you can tent your fingertips forward, or even going down to a maximum fold if that feels nourishing for you. And just finding the space that feels like that gentle edge, that kind edge, and then breathe into the feeling. Okay, one more full deep breath here. Walk your heart high and just unlink your ankle. You can take your right foot in front of your left foot. We're going to slide the left arm long to the top right corner of the mat so you can lie onto your side and then transition onto the back. Moving to the center of your mat, connect your knees, cup them, and let the knees pull heavy. Shoulder blades broaden, and you can take a couple of little rocks side to side here. And take your knees into the air, reach your arms into the sky. Move your knees halfway to the right, arms halfway to the left, and then stretch long like you're reaching for opposite corners of the room, stretching into the belly. And then bring it back, knees to the left, arms to the right, stretch long, reach, open. And bring it back, knees to the right, arms to the left, stretch like you're reaching for opposite corners of the room. Stretch, stretch, stretch to find that length and openness in the belly. Last time on the left, knees left, arms right. Big kick, stretch, reach, long. And come back through center. Plant your feet behind your sits bones and chin up by your hands. Fingertips land above your head, elbows to the sky. And just wash your knees side to side. Okay, bring your knees back through center. Interlace your hands behind the right thigh. Let your thigh pull heavy away from you so the arms pull long and the shoulder blades are broad. From this space, extend your heel up towards the sky. Little gentle pulses. Thinking about rooting your right femur down as you lift your heel upwards. And guide your knee down towards your right shoulder. Option to stay here. Option to connect your right hand to the outside edge of the right foot for half happy baby. You can stay here if this is feeling a lot. And you're welcome to pulse wide your right foot gently to the right side. I'm going to keep integrity and a little subtle engagement. You could be pressing the paw into the hand like gas pedal style. Okay. Connect your right ankle to the top of your left thigh and allow for an easy twist. Legs fall towards the right side. Reach in up by your hands, fingertips land, elbows to the sky. We'll take the right hand, connect to the outside edge of the left elbow, and resist the elbow to broaden the back. So the elbow pushes wide against the resistance of the hand, and this expands the shoulder blades. Lift your chin, open your throat. Move back through center. Uncross your legs. Interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Let your thigh pull heavy away so the arms pull long and the shoulder blades get broad. And then begin to extend your heel towards the sky. So we have the quality of rooting the femur down as the heel lifts up. Gentle pulses to find that engaged stretch. Okay. Guide your knee down to your left shoulder. Option to stay here. Option to connect your left hand to the outside edge of the left foot. Half happy baby. If this feels like a lot, you can stay, or you are welcome to pulse wide your left foot to the left side. Moving with sensitivity. Cross your ankle and let your knees fall towards the left. Easy twist to the left. Chin up by your hands, fingertips land, elbows to the sky, and you can connect your left hand to the outside edge of the right elbow. And gently resist the elbow away to broaden into the back. Chin is lifted, throat is open. And breathe. Rise all the way back up. And place your feet to the mat. Keep both hands in chin-up bar and just wash your knees side to side. A little moving twist. And then as you're ready, you can extend your legs long. Take your hands to your bum, spread your cheeks. Give yourself a big love hug, lift the shoulders, spread the shoulders, and then place back down. Arms out to the side, palms can face up. Press the back of the head into the mat, lift up your chin, open your throat. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, let it go. And let yourself totally be soft here. Noticing if you hold any tension anywhere and maybe shaking it out, or just taking your breath there to let it go and let yourself be totally supported by the earth. Deep breaths, coming back into that connected presence, that circular continuity of the breath. And just be here now. Please stay for as long as you have. Rest is the best. Thank you for practicing with me. Slow meow meow. My slow meow classes are usually like an hour and a half, so they're extended and juicier, but this is perfect. And I would love to see you on the mat, so come and move with me. And in the meantime, have a beautiful, beautiful day. And namaste. Choosh, peace.